This is Rising from the Shadows. What would your life look like if you stopped second-guessing yourself, stopped playing small, and finally broke free from the cycles that have kept you stuck? Well, that's what the Ignite Momentum Practicum is all about. It's a 6-week transformational coaching experience designed to help you break through people-pleasing, self-doubt, and codependency once and for all. And here's the best part. You get to choose your path. You can matriculate through the one-on-one accelerator. It's private, high-touch coaching, you and me one-on-one. Weekly breakthrough calls, a custom action plan, deep mindset work, and real-time support to help you reclaim your power and rebuild your confidence. Option 2 is the group intensive. This is where transformation meets community. Weekly live sessions with a cohort of like-minded individuals, hot seat coaching, Q&A, bonus trainings, and a space where you're truly seen and supported without judgment. So whether you want personalized guidance or collective energy, the Ignite Momentum Practicum gives you the tools, structure, and support to stop circling the same patterns and start building unstoppable momentum. Ready to take the next step? Schedule your momentum call now at ignitingmomentum.co. That's ignitingmomentum.co. You'll find all the details there. Welcome back to Rising from the Shadows, the podcast where we are embarking on a journey of healing from trauma, reclaiming power, and thriving beyond the shadows of our past. I am your host, Marlon Wesh, and today I'm thrilled to bring you another powerful conversation. My guest today is Bianca Thomas. Bianca is a licensed mental health counselor, cognitive behavioral therapy specialist, and co-founder of the Evolve Ventures podcast and business. Bianca is on a mission to help people heal from trauma, build real confidence, and transform their lives using evidence-based tools. She's worked with hundreds of clients one-on-one, reached thousands globally through her podcast, and led seminars focused on mental and emotional growth. Once someone who only looked confident on the outside, Bianca has done the deep work to embody true confidence from within, and she's here to share how you can do the same. Bianca, welcome to the show.
Marlon, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
My pleasure. I always like to start off and open the door for the telling of your story. Can you share a little bit about who you are today? What was the journey that brought you here? And where do you aspire to be in the future?
So at present, like you said, I'm the co-founder of Evolve Ventures Technologies, which is a mental health organization. And our mission is to really help people to actually grow and evolve using the things that actually work and not, a lot of the fluff that's out there today. And my journey toward this was not something you would have predicted if you knew me when I was a kid and if you had seen me during my childhood. So I was the eldest daughter, middle child in a Middle Eastern family, and I was a rebel child from the get. I was the problem starter. I was the outspoken, loud, rambunctious one. And I had a family that was very emotionally unintelligent and struggling with their own emotional health challenges from their own childhoods and just from the nature of my culture in general. And because of that, I developed mental health challenges from a very, very young age in tandem with being, rebellious and outspoken and rambunctious. And because of that, it caused a lot of tension with my family. It caused a lot of chaos. It caused a lot of problems. And I rebelled so hard against my family for so long that when I was 16, I actually ended up getting into a very sexually, emotionally, and mentally abusive relationship. And I stayed in it for 4 years just for the sole reason I didn't want my parents to be right. I was fighting to make it work, and I was fighting to try to basically prove them wrong, even at the expense of myself, and significantly at the expense of myself. I mean, it was a really bad situation for a really long time. And after I finally got out of it, I was so broken. I was a shell of a human being. I had no idea who I was. I had no idea what I wanted in life. I didn't know how to do anything. I had basically spent my entire life trying to prove I was good enough rather than actually developing any skills, and having a family who didn't teach me any skills because they're dealing with their own stuff and they're trying to raise us to their knowledge, but not to what we actually needed. And so I was basically a lost puppy for another couple of years after that, basically trying to figure out who am I and what do I want and where is my place in this world. And so a few years after that, I had met these two mentors of mine at the gym, and they introduced me to personal development, and they introduced me to growth concepts in a way that I had never seen them before. And they actually showed me what it could be like to be somebody of value, to be somebody who actually believed in themselves, and that more than anything, there was a way out of where I was currently at. Because I felt like I had no future. I had no purpose. I had nothing going for me. I was attractive, but I didn't know it. And I had gotten severely abused because of that, because I allowed people to manipulate me. And I looked confident and I looked like I had all my things together. But behind the scenes, I was a mess. And so meeting these two people, it was like, oh, there's more to this. There's something else out there. There's another person that I could be. And so I was already getting my master's in psychology, but then I met them and it was like, oh, this is actually practical. So I'm learning from them. We're very good friends. We're doing all of this stuff together. And I was very much into like the gym and fitness and athleticism my entire life. And my mentor, Kevin, he's like a little bit taller than me. So we would spar together because I did karate growing up and he did Muay Thai. He would never like actually hit me, but he like, it was like light sparring. I was trying to hit him. I couldn't to save my life. But he was like, you should try Muay Thai. And I'm like, I had never heard of what that was. But I was like, okay. So I went to this Muay Thai gym in the area that I lived in. And that's actually where I met my business partner, Emilia. And the running joke is she beat the living hell out of me and we became best friends after that. And we started talking about life and growth and who we want to be. She told me she wanted to be a podcaster. I was like, that's incredible. My mentors are podcasters. So I introduced her to them. Now she's about to be engaged to my other mentor, Alan, and she and I started our business together. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm doing all of these things. I'm building. I'm growing. Life is getting great. But now I have all of these responsibilities on me. So we start the podcast, the pandemic hits, we're trying to start our business. We have a 7-person team. I'm working as a mental health counselor now. And all of the work that I never did finally caught up to me. I was sabotaging my life. I was working really hard, but like I couldn't keep up, and I was pretending that I could. And I was saying I could do things that I couldn't actually do. And I was putting on this really big facade like I knew what I was doing, because I just met these people that I know are going to radically change my life. And I was like, I can't show them how bad I actually am. I can't let anyone see how incompetent I actually am. And so what do? You pretend. And it got to a point where my business partner sat me down and she's like, B, I love you so much. And I want to do this mission with you. I can't imagine doing this without you. But you're not ready for this. You're not ready to actually be 50-50 business partners with me the way that I need you to be. And I want you to be. I want you to get there. And so I'm going to give you a couple of options. We can either call it quits right now. We'll go our separate ways. No harm, no foul. I will still love you, but I'm going to love you from afar. Or we can take a step back and you can go actually grow and go do the inner work that you never did. You started to, but there's still so much you haven't done yet. And we can rebuild up back to that point. And I was devastated because it was like this thing that I was running away from my whole life, this feeling that I'm not good enough. It finally hit. It finally became real. I'm found out. I'm not good enough. And I had this moment and it's like, okay, what are you going to do with this? You can either succumb to this, prove to yourself that you never were good enough and villainize her and make her a terrible person and go your separate ways and that's it. Or you can take this step. And that's what I did because I knew that I wanted this more than anything. And I knew that if I just put in the work, I can get there. And so for the last couple of years, that's exactly what I did. It's been about 1.5 years. I've grown and I've been in therapy and I've done the work and I've changed and grown and evolved so much to the point where now I am a speaker and I do this. I work with 60 plus clients per week. I host seminars and we do our podcast and we're growing this business and we're now hiring clinicians for our outpatient therapy. So like now I'm actually becoming this person that I was pretending to be because I did the work. And that's why, this is part of the reason why I started coming on shows was to really share that it kind of doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter how not good enough you think you are. Everybody has the potential to really become the kinds of people that they want to be if, and only if, they're willing to do the work like I did.
Wow, that's so profound. My head is spinning. I have so many questions because you said some things that I think a lot of people, most people would feel it's their inner critic talking, and instead you're ascribing constructive criticism to it. How do you see the difference between you feeling actually not enough to follow your dream versus someone like me who all my life felt like not good enough, but I could do it. But it was just the messages outside and then within that told me that I needed, that one more degree, that one more this and one more that before I'm good enough to be quote unquote an expert at whatever. How did you differentiate that, and were there some actual, or could you share some tangible things or skills that you needed to move in this dream of yours that you didn't have yet?
There's a massive difference between internally as a person not feeling good enough and then just not being good enough based on the skills that you're trying to acquire. So a lot of people have this narrative that they're not good enough as a person, and then that is the externalization of they're not good enough for anything. They're not smart enough, they're not capable, they're not pretty enough, they're not this, they're not that. So it's two different kinds of enoughness. And for the first half, so I'm 30. For the first 27 7 years of my life. It was the I'm not good enough internally as a person. And that was a lot of the work that I had to do when my business partner and I kind of took a step back a little bit, because I was developing these external skills, but I didn't work on that inner enoughness that would then let me build those skills even more. Does that make sense?
It does, but like, what skills are you talking about? Because obviously you were trained at this part, and you know you were doing your master's in
Mm-hmm.
psychology, and I'm sure you obviously had to go through all your clinical hours, and
Yeah.
sit for the state exams and all of that. And throughout that entire process, you're saying that you didn't feel you had the skills to be what, a clinician, or
I just didn't feel enough as a person. Like my core belief, so in cognitive behavioral therapy, there's this idea that everything we are and everything we aren't is based on these beliefs that we have about ourselves. So everything we do and don't do, everything we say and don't say, everything we think and don't think is ultimately based on the beliefs that we have about who we are.
mm,
And so my inherent core belief, the story I told myself about myself, was just as a person, I wasn't enough. And because I didn't feel enough, I wasn't able or willing to really challenge
I
myself
see.
to go out there and then build any of these skills that I would have needed for the role of co founder and
Mm, mm.
COO of the organization that I had co started. So, like, leadership and business and financial literacy and how to run a team and computer skills and some of these other external skills that they are skills that you can learn. But because I, as a person, just felt like I was defective and like I was broken and like there was something wrong with me, I wasn't able to challenge myself to
See.
then
It
build
didn't feel like
those
worth even
skills.
trying because you were not. I see. I
100%.
see. I see. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I can relate to that in a large part. Um, for me, it kind of made me pivot out of the career I was in before, because um,
Mm,
I wasn't good enough, because I truly didn't like it. It was very much first generation immigrant. You have to have a job that sounds important, right? Like, so, I'm going to be
yeah.
a financial advisor, and what I realized I was really good at was business building. I was great at marketing. I
Mm,
was great at telling stories, if you will, through sales, through marketing, through content creation. But when I actually had the clients, it sucked. It was like, wait, I got to actually work now. Um, and it came to a point where it's like, I actually don't want to get more knowledge in this area, because it's not for me, right? Like, I could
yeah.
have sat for the CFA, and all other things that would make me more competent, specifically in investment management. Like, I was really good at making plans and things like that, but it was like the investment. It was a very quant part that I wasn't good enough, and I didn't care to get better enough, because it wasn't for me. Um, and so it forced me to, like, pivot. Like, you need to lean into what you are good enough, and what you will put that energy
Yeah.
into learning. That's such a profound realization, and how it drove you to gather the skills you needed to complete, or to go after your dream. And for me, it was to pivot out of what I was doing to go after my dream.
Yeah.
Um, it's been my experience that reclaiming a sense of power is not just about, like, taking control. It's about rediscovering the parts of you that
Mm.
we thought were lost. In your journey to becoming, um, what were some actions that you took that help you rebuild your sense of self-worth and create a space where you felt grounded?
First and foremost, it was therapy. working with someone who was able to see me in a way that I couldn't see myself because of the limiting beliefs that I had at the time. I want to just quickly talk about this self-worth thing again, and the not good enough thing, because this ties to it. One of the biggest things that I had to overcome, and one of the biggest tools that I learned, was not personalizing not being good enough. Because the therapy space nowadays, and I understand why it's happened the way that it has, because we were on one end of the spectrum where it was like, pull yourself out by your bootstraps, emotions don't matter, ignore it, just put your head down and move forward. But when we have one extreme, what tends to happen is we go to the exact opposite extreme. And now where it's like, everybody is amazing and everybody is enough for everything and you should be able to do anything that you want at whatever time. And I don't believe that that's adaptive either, because there are some things that you're not going to be good at yet. Yeah. There's something like, I will never be in the WNBA. I am 5'2". It's just the truth. I am a hobbit. No, I'm never going to be good enough to be in the WNBA, but that doesn't mean that I'm not enough as a person. And we get really trapped in that, where it's like, if I'm not capable of doing this thing, it becomes like insanely enmeshed in our identity.
Like it says something about who you are as a person.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it becomes about you. It's the story you tell yourself about yourself. And that separation is what made the biggest difference for me, where it was like, I am enough as a person. Like, there's nothing that I have to do or become or be or have in order to intrinsically and spiritually be enough. But there's these things that I want in life. I want to be a very successful therapist. I want to be the COO of a multi-million-dollar, future billion-dollar mental health organization. Yeah, you're not good enough for that yet. Not because me as a person, I am not enough, because I just don't have the skills yet. And if you can separate those two and understand my value is me and who I am and the character traits that I have, I am enough. And there's these things outside in my life that I want, that bring meaning to me, that I don't have the skills yet. Let me go develop them. That was a lot of the work that I had to do, where it was healing from trauma and healing from shame-based narratives and rebuilding relationships and learning how to have healthy relationships again, and learning how to feel enough as a human being and not pretending to be confident, but actually cultivating the tangible skills of confidence, not external success skills, but like internal success skills that make a person feel as though they are enough to then go pursue all the external things that they want. So it was like basically rebuilding myself from the ground up. And that's exactly what I do with my clients. Like, the majority of my clients that come to see me, they've had significant trauma, or they're just deeply unhappy and unfulfilled in their life. And it's like, okay, let's look at what your life has been up to this point. Let's look at who you are and what you've done and what you've told yourself about yourself and the situations that you've been put in as a result of that, and why. And then let's kind of break it apart and let's rebuild from there. And it's the uncomfortable work that a lot of people don't like doing, because we want to believe that if I just get the next thing, I'm going to feel better. And when we get the next thing, we don't feel better. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess it wasn't that, but this thing, that's going to be the one. The next degree, the next car, the next whatever. Like there's this joke in my within my friend group about my culture, because I'm Middle Eastern, so it's doctor, lawyer, engineer, failure. In a lot of ethnic cultures, that's it.
Yeah.
I have a lot of African clients. I have a lot of European clients. I have
I'm Haitian, so I know what you're
from. You're either a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're an engineer, or you're a failure. It's like you get to pick your poison. Right. Which one do you want? And we really believe that is what makes a meaningful, purposeful life. And the truth is, it's not. Because how many people are doctor, lawyer, engineer, successful, whatever, and they're deeply miserable and deeply unfulfilled? And how many of them end up completing suicide or get addicted to substances or cheat on their spouse or engage in self-harming behavior? It's not what you have that makes you this really holistically well person. It's your values, it's who you are, it's the person you become, and then the work you do in the world, whether it's your actual job or whatever else, just meaningful activities. It's that makes an amazing, happy, holistic life. And that's what I had to figure out. And that's what I help my clients figure out.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. And as you're describing that, the thought that's coming to me is, and something that I've struggled with to a large degree, and a little less, but still now, is kind of flexibility in my thinking. I'm a vision board type of person, right? And I can get fixated on the actual image that's on my board, that what I desire looks like this, versus the meaning that's beyond it, and kind of realizing that I just need a little more flexibility in my thinking, so I don't personalize, quote unquote, the failures. But look at them more as you mentioned, like acquiring the skills that I need in order to do this. Like, I want to be, Tony Robbins level motivational speaker. I'm not there yet. I don't have the audience. I don't have the resources as of yet. I think part of it is putting in the work, committing to, thought leadership and putting your thoughts out, not what people want to hear, but what you truly believe and all of that. And that's a long process. It's not going to happen overnight. And for me, just falling in love with the process versus the destination has helped immensely with that. And also my actual confidence, knowing that I just need to put the reps in to be the confident. I listened to earlier episodes, and then I listen to episodes now, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm like much better at this. And there's so much better I need to get. But just even the questions that I asked, and just having to stick to the script and all of that, your confidence grows at just doing it over and over again. And that definitely, I can relate to that a lot. Go ahead.
I just want to add to that. It's also the meaning that you have assigned to it, because you don't have to answer this question, but hypothetically, theoretically, why do you want to be a Tony Robbins level speaker? Like, what's the reason behind that? What's the story you've told yourself about why you want that, and what it's going to do for your life, and who is it going to make you become? Most of us are pursuing things because, and I'm not saying that this is
I'll
your
answer the question
case.
too.
I'm using your example.
Let's do a little
but
therapy.
I'm talking more. I'm just talking more like theoretically. Most of us want things because of what we think it's going to mean about us if we get it, and not because it's actually the thing that we want. It's like, why does someone want a six-pack? They don't want the work that goes into getting six-pack abs. They don't want the effort. They want the significance of saying, I have it. It's like, okay, you have it. Now what? Let's say I can go get you surgery right now. Now what? It doesn't mean anything. It's the effort that you put into the things that you are doing that actually cultivates a deep sense of meaning, a deep sense of flourishing and fulfillment. And most of us are so fixated on external success and these external markers with no idea why we're doing what we're doing, no idea why we want it. We just want it because we think it's going to give us something, even though it's not. And then we play this losing game of never actually getting it and feeling miserable. But it's not because, and then we assume it's because we're not enough. It's like, it's not because you're not enough. You're aiming at the wrong thing. If I told myself that my life is only enough if I was in the WNBA, I would have a miserable life because it's not going to happen. Genetically, biologically, it is not going to happen. I don't have the skills. I don't have the height. I don't have the capability. It's just not going to happen. So if I then tell myself a narrative, oh my God, I'm just not enough, then what? So most of us are aiming at the wrong thing, and we're telling ourselves these narratives of why we want it that aren't even true, convincing ourselves of these narratives rather than having the humility and the emotional intelligence, which is hard to cultivate. And believe me, I know it took me 30 years to understand, oh, I want this because I think it's going to bring me significance. Because I feel so not good enough that I think that if I finally get this thing, it's going to make me enough.
If this podcast speaks to you, if you're on the path of healing, reclaiming your voice, or just trying to piece together who you really are after surviving the unthinkable, I want to invite you into a space where you don't have to do it alone. Join our Facebook group created for survivors, cycle breakers, and people rebuilding themselves from the inside out. In there, we go deeper. Weekly prompts, live streams, raw conversations, and a whole lot of people who just get it. No pretending, no pressure, just truth, growth, and community. Search Rising from the Shadows, The Path to Reclaiming You on Facebook, or hit the link in the show notes to join the community.
When you can actually allow yourself to do that, you can heal that narrative and then build significance and meaning based on what's actually right for you. So like, I'm never going to be an all-star athlete, but I can be an amazing therapist. I can be an amazing speaker. I can be an amazing leader, an amazing, whatever that's in alignment with me and my values, because I did the work to understand what that is, the narratives I was convincing myself of, and then navigating through that. But it's hard and it sucks and nobody wants to do it. But if you actually give yourself the permission to do that, you can actually have a magnificent life. And it doesn't matter what age you are. I've worked with people as young as 13 and as old as 80. Like, it doesn't matter what age you are, you can start now.
Yeah. I'm curious what your thoughts about my motivations, because I grew up in a very religious household. And one of the things that my mom used to always say very annoyingly was that everything happens for a reason. So, and as an adult, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I think it gaslights people's experiences that they have no control over. I do, however, believe that I get to assign meaning to the experiences that I've had. And just because I decide to, assign some type of positive meaning to a traumatic experience that I have doesn't mean that I expect someone else to do the same. Right. My motivation behind my career goals is I'm looking to assign meaning to all the horrific things that happened to me that I've been able to courageously push through, not just push to the side, but push through, heal through, grow through, to just be a hope for someone that they could too. Right? Like not that because I did it, you can too, but just like a hope. Because the one thing that I figured out early on was that I'm okay with ambiguity because I just need a little bit of hope. Like a little bit of hope can take you so far. And the idea of, to me, that something is possible because it has happened before just means I need to figure out how to make it happen for me. And so that's like my motivation, that, you know, all the abuse, all the trauma, all the financial insecurity, food insecurity, all of that. Um, that the fact that I was able to move through that, maybe somebody will think that I just need to figure out how to do it for me. There's some resources out there, and I need to
Mm.
figure out how to do it. So in one way, like, there's certainly, like, I want to have a career that feels meaningful and that I can look back and be proud of. Um, and I'm sure there's egos tied up with that too. But ultimately, for me, it's like I would like my suffering to have not been for nothing. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. The one question that I have is, does it have to be to that significant level of success in order for your suffering to mean something?
That's a good question. I think what I'm looking for is a commensurate amount of victory, if you will, for the amount of pain.
What is what do you feel like that's going to do for you? Like, you get the success, you get all of the accolades. What's the story you're telling yourself about what that then means? Like, let's say you get $100 million from your efforts and you are reaching millions of people and all of that stuff. And I'm just using you as the
No,
case
no,
example. Like, to anyone watching and listening to this, I want you answering these questions for yourself. But you offered
yeah,
yourself
no,
as
no. I'm
the
like
as
very
the test
interested. Yes.
subject. So,
So for me, what it means is that it's worth doing hard things, because I've always been able to do hard things, um, but not just for the sake of doing hard things, because I think there's something better out there. So for me, it just represents that, like, the reward for being true to yourself, the reward, for vulnerability, for authenticity, for
mm,
a quote unquote being noble in a world that is viciously manipulative, dishonest, unkind to people, whether it's your family unit, friends, romantic partners, at the workplace, and a society that I feel encourages people to become more cruel so they can survive in society.
mm.
Um, for me, it represents that it's worth doing the hard thing and living with the heart that's true, versus succumbing to the I'm a step on you so I can just survive.
The one concern that I have with that is, what happens if you don't get the goal? What does that mean about your suffering and your pain then? Does it mean that all of your effort wasn't worth it and your suffering was for nothing? Because a lot of people also fall into that trap, and believe me, so did I, where it was like, when I have this thing, it will all have been for something. It wasn't for nothing. This actually gives my life meaning now. And we give our life and our trauma and our suffering meaning through the narratives that we tell ourselves. And if your suffering only means something if you have Tony Robbins level success, that has the potential for, honestly, catastrophe. Because if you don't get it, then what? That's where a lot of people end up in really dire
Mhm.
situations where it's like, my entire life is predicated on this one thing.
Well, that's why I think
And then
it's
I got it, and
important
it,
to fall in love with the journey. I think that was the huge shift that I had. That yes, I have these
mm,
goals, and that's what I was mentioning about kind of having more flexibility in my thinking about my vision board, um,
yeah.
because I'm now able to observe magic along the way. Like, oh wow, like this thing happened. That I met this person, I had this conversation. What I said, what mattered to this person. I had I wouldn't even call her a friend. She when I met her probably like 20 years ago, I think she was dating someone in my unit. I was a Marine. And then so we must have come across at like a Marine Corps birthday ball or something to that nature. A few weeks ago, and she follows me on TikTok. She DMs me a few weeks ago and tells me that like, thank you for being kind to me in a time that was like so hard. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, how was that? And and I don't remember these interactions. But that meant so much. That felt like, I've always believed that my gift was in my voice, and kind of felt embarrassed that I felt very strongly about that, like, that's egotistical or what have you. But time and time again,
Yeah.
I find great fulfillment when I've been able to use my words to show people that they can use their words as well and their voice. And I feel compelled, like it's something I need to do. And so even let's say I don't reach that level, but being able to observe the magic along the way, I think that's a life well lived.
It's a beautiful reframe. We all have to develop a life that matters to us based on who we actually are. And like I said in the beginning, most people are trying to live a life that they didn't decide and that they're not actually fully in alignment with, but they're doing it because they believe that it's going to get them something. On a subconscious or an unconscious level, they're hoping that this is going to take away my pain. This is going to finally be the thing that makes me mean something. This is going to be the thing that finally makes me good enough. And most people are trapped by that. And so what the work really entails is understanding, why does that have to be the story? Mm-hmm. So for me, one of the biggest stories that I had was, I'm only enough if somebody loves me. Well, it's like, okay, let's unpack that. Why? Why does somebody else choosing you mean that you are then enough? And it's like, because only people who are enough are chosen. Yeah. And then you go even deeper. Okay, well, why is that true? Well, what makes that true? Well, what's not enough about you? And then
why
you unpack,
do they get to choose
you?
Why don't you get to choose?
100%. And then you dive into, okay, what are the habits and the beliefs and the tendencies and the patterns that you kept repeating? And it's like, oh, that was fun. Yeah. This thing and that thing and this thing and that thing and all of these experiences that I believed were because of this narrative, it actually was something completely different. It was actually the opposite. I was enough, but because I didn't believe it, I kept getting into these maladaptive, harmful, destructive situations. Yeah. Oh, okay. What the hell do you do with that? And then then you start the next step of it, and then the next step, and then the next step. I am in full alignment with you. I vehemently hate the phrase, everything happens for a reason, because it's not true. There's no evidence to support that. How are you going to tell my client who was violently assaulted from the time she was 2 until the time she was in her mid-30s that there is a plan for this? What plan? How are you going to invalidate her entire...
Thought. Like, ugh, do you hear yourself saying that? Like,
I understand why people say it, though, because we have to believe that there's something greater, that there's something more. And there is, but it's what's in here. It's not this esoteric, magical thing out in the universe. Now, I'm not saying do not be religious. I am not saying don't be spiritual. I believe in fate. I believe that there's things in the environment and things in the world and quantum physics and quantum mechanics that we have no idea what's happening and why they work the way that they do. There's shit in our brain that we still don't understand how it happens. And like the way that the trees all communicate with each other through like the things in the ground. We have networks like that where we can like unconsciously and subconsciously connect and communicate with other people. Like there's crazy shit. We don't have any idea how it works. And I'm not ignorant enough to say I know how any of this works either. I
like
can just,
the twin thing. Like what's up with that?
It's wild. There's wild things in this world. But everything happens for a reason? No. But what do you want to make this mean about you? That's more powerful. This thing happened to me. Do I want to externalize my life to some outside thing? A lot of people do because it's easier and it's safer. Because
if you're listening to this and you've got a story to tell, whether it's your personal story of healing and reclaiming your voice or rising from rock bottom, or you're a professional with powerful insight into trauma, identity, resilience, or transformation, then I want to hear from you. Rising from the Shadows is more than just a podcast. It's a space where truth is honored, power is reclaimed, and stories heal. If you have something to share that could empower others to stop shrinking and start rising, I'd love for you to apply to be a guest on the show. Just head to tellmystory.risingfromtheshadows.com to submit your application. Let's rise together, one voice, one breakthrough, one story at a time.
That I don't have to take control over it. And believe me, I did that too. But the real power in your life, the person that you admire the most, for everybody listening to this or watching this, I want you to think about the person that you admire the most. Where is their control? Do they have an internal locus of control, meaning I am in control of the outcomes of my life? Or is it an external locus of control where all of this is happening to me and I can't do anything about it? I would bet money on the fact that they have an internal locus of control, that my life is in my hands and I can't control what happens in the world, but I can do my damn best to control what I do and what I think and what I believe. And therefore what I feel in the aftermath. And that's what I did because I was a victim. I had the most victim mentality you would ever imagine. Everything was everybody else's fault. And I was a helpless victim that wasn't capable of doing anything. And life humbled the shit out of me. And then it was like, okay, you have a choice here. You can either develop the internal locus of control and all of the inner skills to prove to yourself that you have the power over your own damn life, or you can be a victim. And I don't want to be a victim. I've been victimized, but I don't identify as a victim. I live in America, one of the most abundant countries in the world. I have, so much access to so much. I have a say. And not everybody has the same circumstances and not everybody has the same situations. That's not what counts. What counts is, do you have a healthy brain? Are you capable to any regard? Yes? Cool. Then you can do something. That's real confidence. That is real empowerment. Those are the people that we admire the most. I adore Tony Robbins. He is the epitome of that. He had the ever-loving shit beaten out of him. He was assaulted like you couldn't imagine by his own mother. And he had to figure it out because what was he going to do? And he developed that mindset. Okay, if this is what life is going to be, then I'm going to learn and I'm going to build and I'm going to grow and I'm going to become everything to get out of this. And he did. And now he helps millions of people. We're having a conversation about him. He'll never know about it. That's awesome. Not because something magical happened, but because he did it. And this doesn't mean hyper-individualism. This doesn't mean do it all on your own. This means use your resources adaptively and intelligently. Use the people around you. Build the skills within. That is a deeply meaningful life.
That is such, that was said so beautiful and such a holistic view on it. And I mean, there's there's so much. It's hard to make a point, and at least for me, the way my brain comes, because I always want to, um, um, what's the word? Uh, oh my God, I'm losing my brain. Couch it with like other things like, but this and this and this, like there's so many variables that go into it. But the one thing that you said that I loved is you said, do you have a capable brain? Is like, yes, then you can do something. And there's so much power in that something. Um,
Yeah.
you mentioned before about how you found yourself in maladaptive situations because of what you went through and feeling powerless. One of the things I talk about a lot is the power of intuition, because I have always had a strong intuition, but because
Mm.
I was in the never being chosen experience, I thought there was something wrong with me, and there was and everybody else was at least okay, more better. I don't mean like richer, more beautiful, but just like in generally speaking, they have a better mental health state than I do. I was abused by
Mm-hmm.
my parents. All of that. So like, I'm the not normal one. Everyone else is having at least a more normal experience in this world to a great degree.
Yeah.
So I felt that any reaction I had to um, rejections or perceived rejection or not being chosen and somebody else being chosen, that for me, I was like very critically thinking, I'm like, I am more skilled than that person. I could do a better job than that person. Why is this person chosen because they have the gift of gab? Um, and so I always felt that there was something that I needed to work on, and that shut down my intuition like you wouldn't believe. And I found myself in maladaptive relationships, always trying to be like, oh, this happened because you're not healthy enough yet to, you know, earn this or be in this relationship or earn the admiration of this person or what have you, or the affection of this person. So you need to keep working on it because they're arguably in a better position than you. What do you say
Yeah.
to your clients that um, love doing the work? They're reading all the books, they're watching all the YouTubes, they're down the rabbit hole on TikTok, and they really just need to trust themselves more. And it's not that they're as broken as they think they are.
That's a trauma response. I have a client that I'm thinking of right now. He has gone like for years and years down like Reddit and TikTok and YouTube and whatever other platforms that I have no idea about, down the craziest rabbit holes possible of trying to figure all of this stuff out. And it's a way of obtaining a sense of safety and
Yeah. Mm.
security. It's a way of trying to figure out, am I going to be safe in the world? Am I going to be okay? Are things going to work out for me? It's a trauma response. It's, this thing is going to happen. I am in danger. Let me go find safety. And for anyone who's done it, you realize this isn't actually making me feel safe. It's giving me a false sense of
Hmm.
security that I know, but it's like, okay, but are you executing on what you know? Are you actually working through this? You're learning all of this stuff. You know all of this stuff consciously, but has it actually seeped in? Do you actually believe what these things are saying? Are they changing your identity? Are they changing your inner narrative? For most people, the answer is no. And that's how you end up developing that inner intuition. It's not running away from yourself. Because most people who do that, they're trying to run away from themselves. If I can get external certainty, then I won't have to deal with what's in here. But what's in here is the answer. That's one of the biggest reasons why I was chasing relationships. It's like, that's finally going to make me feel
Yeah.
enough. It's like, good luck with that, buddy. Didn't work. And it came to a point where it's like, okay, I don't feel good enough. Now what? What do you want to do? Do you want to keep externalizing this? Do you want to keep looking for everyone and everything? Or are you going to let yourself, you know, figure out what's coming up within you and building the connection to self, and then learning how to trust your intuition to then make intelligent decisions? Because you can't make intelligent decisions from fight or flight. Yeah. You can't. That part of your brain gets shut off or dimmed down to go to the peripheral nervous system to get you to run and jump and hide and whatever. So the answer is almost always the same. It's the inner work that nobody wants to do because it sucks. I tell all of my clients this: therapy blows. You're going to want to quit 90% of the time. You're going to want to punch me in the face 95% of the time.
That's if you have a good
therapist.
Out
on stuff you're not. This is me telling my clients. I've had clients literally tell me, like, if I was in person, I would have smacked you across the face. And I'm like, you're welcome.
No, so that's how I chose my new therapist. I was like, I was interviewing her, and I was like, you're the first person, because I know that I'm fairly intellectual and I intellectualize stuff. I said, you're the first person to ever, like, very rudely challenge me. You know, and I was
just calling you out on your bullshit.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I've been in therapy since I was like 18, right? Like so I felt there was, in the past, there was too much validation and not enough, like, what's the homework now? Like, what can I do? And she was able to do that. It was massive. And to the point, I remember awesome. I was we were doing we've been doing parts work. And there was this, I forgot, it was after many weeks, and I was like, Natalia, like I don't want to do this parts work thing for right now. Like, I need a couple weeks off. So, like, you know, the next couple weeks, it was just more like conversation, but it's hard. Like, I mean, like God forbid I schedule a meeting after a session and, you know, I'm looking at little Marlon in a closet, you know, trying to stay safe. It's like, God damn it. like I can't do this.
It's brutal.
It's so brutal, but it's so necessary. What you said about internal safety, I'm hoping to tie an experience that I had, and the safety I was trying to create, what I realized was through perfectionism. If I got good enough at something, I wouldn't feel rejection. If I read enough on how to talk to people, I won't feel like my heart fluttering when I'm having a conversation or when I say something awkward. If I practice my little social jokes, then, you know, whatever, right? And I didn't realize I was doing this until I realized that I was involved in a narcissistic abusive relationship. And when I realized that, I like read everything, watched all the videos, and, you know, to like, how do you know if they're a narcissist? And then what I realized was I was still giving away my power. I was still not working in my intuition because I thought I had to be sure that somebody was a bad person for me to decide not to be involved with them. And it wasn't until I realized, I can make a mistake in my decisions, but as long as it's the decision I wanted to make, that's all that fucking matters. So I don't need to know if you have narcissistic qualities. If I don't like you, I don't want to be around you. You could be the best thing to slice bread, Barack Obama, in your community, and I just don't like the way you move in the world. That's okay. You're not for me. And that doesn't make me a bad person. Or if it does, who gives a fuck? You know, and that is where I earned my freedom, and like I really honed into my intuition that it had nothing to do about making the right decision. It was just about making a decision that was congruent to me.
The amount of clients of mine that tell me that like I have to know for sure, because they don't trust themselves. They don't trust themselves to make decisions. They don't trust that what they're feeling is accurate. And so they stay in situations going through cognitive doom loops and trying to figure it out. and then just getting more and more abused over time would blow your mind. And
what if I was just being
did the
too hard
same.
on the person? I'm just feeling critical, blah, blah, blah. You know, I need to stop judging
It's a trap.
people. Yeah, it's a trap.
It's a trap. Your body is trying to tell you something. Now, there's a difference between intuition and conditioning.
Yes.
We listen to our conditioning. We don't listen to our intuition. Our conditioning is, if I was, let's say I got attacked, right? I was walking down the street and I got attacked by, you know, a large man. If I then believed that my intuition is now that, I would always listen when I saw a man and I was afraid. That's not intuition, that's conditioning. I became conditioned from this traumatic instance to be afraid. So what you do is you have to understand the difference between, is this my conditioning? Is this the story that I've been told over and over again? Or am I only thinking and feeling this because of a situation that I had that now shaped me? Or is this actually, to use Parts language, is this true self trying to tell me that this isn't actually right for me? You can't do that without doing work. And for anyone watching and listening to this, the greatest gift you can ever give to yourself, and I know this is going to sound fluffy and Pollyanna, but it's just the truth. The greatest gift you can ever give to yourself is working with a really good therapist, because it will change your life forever. Whether it's me or somebody else, find a good therapist. They will change your life for the better.
And that's not easy. There are not as many good ones out there as you would like to think. You got to like interview people. Just like any job you have, there's some people that are really good at their jobs, some people that are not that great, but just pass the test. And that was my experience, like really taking that into my own hands and saying like, this is going to work for me, or this is not going to work for me. This has been awesome. If there's one lesson you'd want listeners to take away from your journey, what would it be?
You are the biggest thing getting in your own way. And that means you are also the thing that can change everything for you.
That's worth a moment of silence. This was incredible. I know our listeners are walking away with so much insight and inspiration. Where can people connect with you, learn more about your work, or support your mission?
So I'm on all of the different social media platforms. Evolve with Bianca. So you can send me a DM on Instagram or on TikTok. And then if you go to evolveventurestech.com, that's our website. And we have a ton of information on there about different programs, different free things that you can get involved in. We have a group coaching program that we're launching in the middle of July, if that's something anybody wants to get involved in. There's so many opportunities that we have at Evolve for wherever you are on your journey.
That's awesome. And of course, we'll put all that information in the show notes. Thank you so much for sharing your story and your insight with us today. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of Rising from the Shadows. And remember that healing isn't the absence of shadows. It's learning to thrive in your own light. So rise today, rise tomorrow, and rise always, because the shadows don't stand a chance. Take care. If you're an event organizer, HR leader, or educator looking to bring a powerful voice to your stage, someone who speaks truth, ignites momentum, and empowers your audience to rise above what's held them back, then I want to talk to you. My keynote, Rising from the Shadows, is more than a talk. It's a transformative experience that shows people how to stop shrinking, start healing, and stand fully in their story. I've lived it, I teach it, I walk people through it. So if you're building a lineup of speakers who don't just talk but move people, head over to marlonwesh.com to create something unforgettable for your audience.